Talking to reporters yesterday, Baker said, quote, "It's just time to work, do our thing instead of talking about it." So, Shannon, I start with you. How much better do you expect Baker Mayfield to be this season?
Well, guys, I really expect his numbers to be in line more with his rookie season, Skip. I always believe that he's going to be a double-digit interception guy because he has the utmost confidence in his arms, and he's willing to take unnecessary risk. And so I believe his interception total, Skip. I remember I think you labeled him a careful gambler, but if you look at his interception total, that's not careful, and that's a lot of gambling with not being careful, without being cautious. And so, Skip, I think his numbers will be more in line with his rookie season, somewhere between 24 and maybe 28 touchdowns. But I still believe he'll always be a team interception guy, kind of like a Brett Favre, because that's his style. He's willing to take unnecessary risks, Skip. I think the thing is, for me, Skip, I do not believe in sophomore slumps. I believe in guys having great rookie seasons, thinking they have it figured out, and they can rest on their laurels. Because Peyton Manning didn't have no sophomore slump. You look at some of these great guys. Eric Dickerson didn't have no sophomore slump. Adrian Peterson. There are a lot of guys that didn't have slumps. You know why? Because they don't think they figured it out, and they go back to the drawing board. Because you got to realize, Skip, now, the defenses, they're gonna figure out, well, damn, he was good. How did he do all that? And they're going to come up with try to ways. So the moment you think you figured out, well, hey, man, this thing was so easy. Man, this thing is easy, man. It ain't hard. The NFL is not nearly as hard as they made it out to be. It's not as nearly as hard as I thought it was going to be. Okay, gotcha. And I agree. I like the fact, Skip, he says, I'm going to do less talking. I'm going to do more playing. Because sometimes, every time somebody said, well, Baker needs to do this or take a shot at him, he would get strolled to the podium and take a shot back at them. Bruh, you looking terrible. You just threw 3 picks, and you're talking about what somebody said on a talk show? You should be worried about those interceptions that you're throwing, getting your team into the end zone and winning games after me put you guys in the playoffs. If I'm not mistaken, Skip, I picked them to win the division. So you got me up here lying, and got me looking crazy, and you started talking trash to everybody else that has a talk show. So, Skip, I believe he will have Odell says he's healthy. Jarvis is going to be Jarvis. Skip, I think the big acquisition of Austin Hooper gives them a tight end that can get downfield, that can work the intermediate area. And we know what Nick Chubb is. Nick Chubb is a bell cow workhorse back. They still have Kareem Hunt. So I expect his number. If he's going to do off the field, if he's going to do what he says, Skip, he's going to keep his mouth closed, his head down, his ears closed, and work. I believe Baker Mayfield is due for a bounce-back season.
I can't tell you how much I hope you're right about everything you just said. I still love Baker. I believe in Baker. You know that before that draft, I said I'm picking that guy number 1 overall when nobody was talking about that guy going number 1, and Cleveland took him number 1 overall. And he lit it up when he finally got his chance under Hugh Jackson to actually play. In the games he played in as a rookie, they went 7-7. Not great, but some spectacular moments in the 7 wins. 27 touchdown passes to only 14 interceptions. Still double-digit, to your point, and I agree with you. The Baker I knew at the University of Oklahoma was a careful gambler, and I saw a lot of that his rookie year. I did not see that last year. I just saw a gambler. I saw a desperate gambler. I saw a Baker who was trying to force balls to Odell Beckham Jr. and occasionally to Jarvis Landry, and it just went completely haywire on him. And I'm with you. I'm glad he seemed to be having a slice of humble pie yesterday. Baker, you can't keep blaming your critics for your failures. It just won't work long term. You're coming off as big mouth Baker, and you're just painting the target on your back bigger and bigger, as did your Progressive insurance commercials last year that seemed to run every other commercial. You didn't deserve them yet, Baker. You hadn't earned them yet. And Progressive is based in Cleveland. They fell in love with you and your mystique and your it factor. And all of a sudden, every other commercial, it's about your house, which is your stadium. And they were clever and they were cute and I liked them, but boy, they just beat me over the head. and they beat every one of your opponents over the head until your opponents just said, no, we're going to put a stop to those commercials. And Shannon, by the end of the year, as you kept using this word, it's like he should have been doing commercials for regressive insurance, not progressive, because he was regressing through his second year. And I couldn't defend it anymore. But Shannon, this team made so many great moves, except one. I loved all the moves. They gave Baker 2 new tackles. The kid from Alabama that they drafted, he's going to go to left tackle. Yeah, and Jack Conklin's going to go to right tackle, and I think it's going to I think it's going to boost up the protection. I think it will. It should.
Yes.
So there's no more excuse there, Baker. And you brought up Austin Hooper. Matt Ryan threw him almost 100 balls last year, and he caught 75 of them and made his second Pro Bowl. And not only do you have Austin Hooper as a pure pass-catching tight end, I'm not saying he's Shannon Sharpe, but he's pretty good. And you're getting Njoku back, who you lost at mid-year when he fractured his wrist. He's pretty good. And as Shannon brought up, you don't have one runner. You got 2 stud runners. You got 2 starting running backs, with Kareem Hunt being the sort of the lightning to the thunder of Nick Chubb. So you got that going. You got Kevin Stefanski and Shannon. Maybe if you look at what Stefanski did last year, I guess he called the plays. Kubiak had a lot of input also, but again, what did they do for Kirk Cousins last year? They just ran the ball. They just ran Dalvin, Latavius. They just ran the ball, right? And tried to keep Kirk Cousins out of harm's way as much as possible.
Right.
Well, maybe that's the MO. But my point to you, my bottom line to this is, the reason I fear for Baker this year, no more excuses. Seed is getting hotter and hotter. And yet there's one move they didn't make. They did not trade Odell. I thought they were. There were all these rampant reports, speculation. Remember, he was going to be traded to Minnesota. Minnesota had lost Stephon to Buffalo. And I thought, sweet deal. Well, all of a sudden it didn't happen, and they're going forward with both Odell and Jarvis and Hooper and the 2 running backs. Listen, I have nothing personal against Odell, but Shannon, I don't think you can win with him. He's like, in sort of presence, he's like Cam Newton. He has huge presence. He like Cam can't be a backup quarterback. It's either starter or bust for Cam. And I still think somebody's going to give him a shot to be a starter somewhere down the line, not now. But with Odell, it's either star or bust. And remember, Odell, what was it, a couple of weeks ago, posted a new video in which he was talking about his injuries and his surgery. And in the video, he said, I was pretty much effed up the whole year. So he had some kind of hernia, sports hernia. I don't know what it was exactly, but he got it fixed. He got it surgically repaired. And Jarvis had hip surgery. So whatever excuses you could make for either one of those guys, I think they're going to be full speed ahead. So I don't think you can win with Odell. The Giants paid him all that money and then realized they made a huge mistake, and they dumped out. They got out of it. They said, we're done. More trouble than you're worth. I don't think Odell's ever going to be happy in Cleveland, Ohio, unless you're throwing him 20 balls a game and he's catching 15 of them. He wants to star more than he wants to win. And when he's dominating your huddle in your meeting rooms, it's just like, feed me. I need to be fed. It's hard to win that way. And Baker likes him. They hang out, they socialize. And Baker's kind of into Odell's star power. And his trouble last year, he kept trying to force it to Odell when Odell was a shell of himself. And Odell puts up career-low numbers across the board, and he still threw him 133 passes. He threw Jarvis 138. So they both were not right. And the guy who paid for it was the regressive quarterback. So, Shannon, I hope it works out. I still think he could have a big bounce back. But I don't know how you deal with Odell Beckham Jr. because he can't just be a complimentary receiver, and that's how it sets up. I mean, how many targets do you... He had 133 balls thrown to him. With Austin Hooper and Njoku and those two running backs, help me out. 100? 90? 80? Tell me. I mean, seriously, I don't see it, and he's not going to be a happy camper.
Well, Skip, in the West Coast, and that's what they're going to run. And this is Gary Kubiak offense that he brought from Mike Shanahan, that they got from San Francisco, Skip. It's a lot of play action. It's a lot of boots. If you look at it, when they had Diggs, they had Thielen, they tried to simplify it because they put Kirk Cousins, because he is athletic, and I believe Baker is more athletic than Cousins, they put him on the move.
Yeah.
And so, and you're right, Skip, the likelihood of you getting 150 targets and Jarvis getting 150 targets and Hooper getting 100 targets, Skip, that ain't very good. That's a lot of targets.
The math.
For three, and so...
No, it doesn't fit.
It doesn't add up. And so, Skip, in order for you to be successful, when you look at what we did in Denver, now, if one of these guys were like Jerry Rice, Jerry got the lion's share of the targets, Skip, when he was at San Francisco. Even they had John Taylor, and later they had J.J. Stokes, and T.O. ended up coming in, Skip. But unless Odell's going to take off like that, but here's the thing. JT knew that Jerry was going to get the targets, and he was cool with that. I don't know if Jarvis like, well, hold on, bro. I went to 2 Pro Bowls. I had 100 catches before you got here. I don't know if Jarvis is going to be cool with that if all of a sudden Odell targets go up, his come down. So, but I believe they're going to run the football a lot more. And remember, we talked about it, Skip. I'm like, look, y'all got Nick Chubb. Dude averaging 100, 115 a game. And you guys trying to throw the football around to try to appease those two guys outside. You're pleasing them because you're giving them targets, but you're losing games. I thought the objective was to win games, not to appease wide receivers. So you're going to have to make a decision, and Stefanski is going to have to make a decision. He's going to have to put his foot down. Guys, we're trying to win games. And if in the course of winning the game, we can get you 8 targets, we can get you 10 targets, so be it. But if Nick Chubb is running the ball, if Kareem Hunt's running the ball, you might get 5 targets.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.